The military bus stopped at the corner of Whitaker Street at 6 in the morning, when Savannah was still sleeping under a veil of golden mist. Marcus Chen stepped off with his backpack on his shoulders and his heart racing. 8 months, 243 days away from home. He had counted every single one. He hadn't told Sarah he would be back today. He wanted to see her face light up with surprise, feel her arms around his neck, hear that laugh that had kept him company on cold desert nights. He had rehearsed the moment 1,000 times, the key turning slowly in the lock, his silent footsteps down the hallway, the whisper of her name. The house was exactly as he remembered, the same faded blue shutters, the same porch where they had kissed for the first time. But something was different. There was a mobile of stars hanging in the living room window. Strange. Sarah had never liked children's decor. When he opened the door, the smell wasn't the same. It wasn't her perfume or the breakfast she used to prepare. It was baby powder, baby lotion. Marcus's heart stumbled. The living room was filled with objects that didn't belong in that house. A folded stroller leaning against the sofa, a stack of diapers on the coffee table, rattles scattered across the rug. He let his backpack fall, the dull thud echoing through the walls. Maybe she's watching someone's kid, he thought, clinging to that explanation like a castaway clings to a floating board. Then he heard it, a sharp, persistent cry coming from the bedroom. Marcus walked down the hallway in slow steps, each one heavier than the last. The door was ajar. He pushed it open. Sarah was facing away from him, rocking someone, against her chest, murmuring soft words. She wore one of his old t-shirts, the one with the baseball team logo. Her brown hair fell loose and messy. She always looked beautiful like that, vulnerable and real. Sarah? She turned so fast she almost dropped the child. Her face shifted through every emotion in seconds. Shock, fear, guilt. Her eyes filled with tears before he could take another step. Marcus. Her voice came out as a broken whisper. You didn't say you. I wanted to surprise you. The silence that fell between them was dense, suffocating. Marcus looked at the child in her arms, a girl, maybe 8 or 9 months old, with dark hair and light eyes. Eyes that weren't his. Eyes that weren't Sarah's. Whose baby is she? He already knew the answer, but he needed to hear it. Sarah pulled the girl closer, as if she could protect her from what was about to happen. Tears began to fall. Marcus, Her voice cracked. She's ours. Ours? The word shot out like a bullet. Sarah, I've been gone for 8 months. She shook her head, sobs spilling between words. I know how long it's been. She's 8 months old, Marcus. The calculations formed in his mind like stones dropping one by one. The last night they spent together before his deployment. Sarah driving him to the airport, crying so much she could barely see. Come back to me, she had said. But somewhere after that night, she's not mine. It wasn't a question. It was the most painful truth of his life. Sarah closed her eyes and nodded, a movement so small it barely existed. When she opened them again, something inside her was shattered. I made a mistake, Marcus. One mistake. He stepped back, then again, until his back hit the wall. He needed air. He needed space. He needed this not to be real. One mistake. He repeated the word, testing its weight. A mistake that breathes. Sarah placed the baby in the makeshift crib beside the bed, a cushioned basket Marcus had never seen before. The child calmed down, clutching a little pink blanket, unaware of the storm. Please let me explain, Sarah said, wiping her face with the back of her hand. Explain? Marcus felt anger rising, hot and sharp. Explain how you slept with another man a week after I left for a war zone? 3 weeks, she corrected, then seemed to regret it. Not that it changes anything. He let out a bitter laugh, humorless. 3 weeks. Yes, that changes everything. Sarah stepped closer, but he raised a hand to stop her. No, don't come near me right now. She stopped, wrapping her arms around her own body. She looked so small, so broken. Part of Marcus, the part that had loved her for 5 years, wanted to comfort her. But another part, bigger and far more wounded, wanted only to disappear. You were different before you left. Sarah began, her voice trembling. Distant. Cold. We fought about everything. You said maybe we shouldn't be together when you came back. Marcos remembered. God, he remembered. Words spoken in anger, after an argument about him enlisting without consulting her. Maybe it's better this way. Maybe you're right. Maybe we don't work. But he didn't mean it. Not fully. I was scared, he admitted quietly. Scared of dying out there and leaving you stuck with a memory. And I was terrified of losing you, Sarah said, tears falling freely now. So when you said that, I believed it. I believed it was over, that you didn't love me anymore. So you went to bed with another guy? I went to a bar with Emma. Sarah sat on the edge of the bed, shoulders curved. I drank too much. I was destroyed. A guy was kind. He talked to me and I wanted to forget the pain for one night, just one night. Marcus closed his eyes. He could picture the scene. Sarah, vulnerable and hurting. A stranger offering easy words. And you got pregnant. I didn't even know his real name, she said, voice breaking. The next morning I woke up alone in a strange bed, and all I could think about was you. About what I had done, about what I had ruined. Why didn't you tell me? How? Sarah looked at him, desperate. How was I supposed to tell you, Marcus? You were in combat. I got your letters talking about ambushes, about injured friends. How was I supposed to message you saying, oh, and by the way, I'm pregnant with another man's child? He had no answer to that. When I found out, I was already 3 months along. Sarah continued. I thought about not having her, but I couldn't. Even knowing I would lose you forever, I couldn't. The baby started fussing in the crib. Sarah stood up automatically, picking her up and rocking her with practiced movements. The scene was so domestic, so tender. It hurt to watch. What do you call her? Sarah hesitated. Hope. I named her Hope. Hope. The irony was cruel. Does the father know? I couldn't find him. Sarah kissed the baby's forehead. I tried, but it was a big city, a crowded bar. I barely remember what he looked like. Marcos felt something break inside him. Sarah had carried all of this alone. The pregnancy, the birth, the first months, alone, waiting for him, knowing that when he returned, everything would fall apart. You knew I'd come back today? No, I thought you would warn me first. I wanted to surprise you. You did. The silence returned. But this time, it was different. Less hostile. Just sad. Marcus left the house without saying where he was going. He needed to think, breathe, process. He walked through the streets of Savannah with no destination while the city woke up around him. He passed Forsyth Park where they had picnics on Sundays. The fountain where he had asked Sarah to be his girlfriend. The cafe where she worked when they met. Every corner held a memory. Every memory now felt contaminated. His phone vibrated. A message from Sarah. Don't leave forever, please. He didn't reply. He sat on a bench near the river, watching the water move, constant and indifferent. He thought about the last 8 months, about the letters he wrote to her, full of plans for the future. Marriage, kids, building a life. Sarah had read those letters while rocking a child that wasn't his. But was it really that simple? Marcus remembered the last mission before coming back. They had rescued a family from a bombed village. The mother was injured, nearly unconscious. The father was dead. 3 children remained, the youngest only a few months old. When Marcus held the baby in his arms, something inside him had shifted. A silent promise. I'm going to make the world better for you. I'm going to go home and be the man you need me to be. But what kind of man was that? The kind who ran when things got hard? Or the kind who stayed even when everything screamed for him to leave? He thought about Hope. 8 months old. Innocent. She hadn't asked to be born like that. She hadn't asked to be the symbol of a betrayal. And Sarah, God, Sarah, the woman he had loved since he was 19, who had waited for him, who had built a life alone because he had said stupid, angry words before leaving. Wasn't some of the blame his too? The phone vibrated again. Another message. Hope is asking where you went. He almost laughed. Hope didn't talk yet, but he understood what Sarah was saying. I'm asking where you went. Marcus looked at his own reflection in the water. The man he saw there was a soldier, trained to fight, to survive, to win battles. But this wasn't a battle you won with weapons. This was a battle you won with a choice. When Marcus went back home, it was already noon. He found Sarah sitting on the porch, Hope sleeping in her arms. She lifted her eyes, red from crying so much. "I thought you weren't coming back." "So did I," he admitted, sitting down next to her. They stayed in silence for a long time, just the two of them, the child, and the weight of everything between them. "I don't know if I can do this," Marcus finally said. "I don't know if I can look at her and not see that." "I understand." Sarah looked at Hope, gently stroking her hair. "But she isn't that, Marcus. She's just a little girl who needs love. And you? What do you need?" Sarah looked at him, vulnerable and raw. "I need you to forgive me, or tell me that you can't. But I need an answer, because living in this limbo is killing me." Marcus took a deep breath. He looked at Hope. So small, so fragile. "Let me hold her," he said. Sarah blinked. "Surprised? Are you sure?" "No, but let me try." Carefully, Sarah transferred Hope into his arms. The little girl shifted a bit but didn't wake up. Her weight was almost nothing, but it changed everything. Marcus looked at her little face, the chubby cheeks, the long eyelashes, the tiny clenched fists, and he felt it. It wasn't love, not yet, but it was something. A door opening, a possibility. "Hi, Hope," he whispered. "I'm Marcus." The little girl opened her eyes, light blue, alert, and studied him with that impossible seriousness babies have. Then, unexpectedly, she smiled. A toothless, perfect smile. Something in Marcus's chest disarmed. The days that followed were the hardest of Marcus's life. There were moments when he looked at Hope and saw only pain, the living symbol of everything he had lost. But there were other moments, when she laughed at nothing, when she grabbed his finger with her tiny hand, when she fell asleep in his arms, when something deeper happened. He started to follow the routine, waking up at 6 for the first bottle, changing diapers, rocking her when she cried. At first it felt strange, mechanical, but little by little, it became natural. Sarah watched everything in silence with a mixture of hope and fear in her eyes. One night, after putting Hope to sleep, they finally really talked. "Why are you doing this?" Sarah asked. They were sitting on the living room floor, cups of coffee cooling in their hands. "I don't know," Marcus admitted. "Part of me still wants to grab my backpack and leave. But another part—" "Which part?" "The part that spent 8 months thinking about coming home, about having a family, about being someone other than a soldier." Sarah let out a shaky sigh. "You don't have to be her dad, Marcus. If this is too much, and what if I want to try?" She stared at him, eyes wide. "What? I'm not saying I know how to do this, or that it's going to be easy, but—" He ran a hand through his hair, frustrated. "Out there I saw so many kids losing everything. Losing parents, homes, futures, and hope. She hasn't lost anything yet, but she will if I leave. But she's not mine biologically, I know." Marcus looked toward the bedroom where Hope was sleeping. "But fatherhood isn't just blood, is it? It's a choice. It's showing up. It's staying." Sarah started to cry. Not from sadness, but from something more complex. Relief, maybe. Or hope. "I don't deserve this. I don't deserve you. None of us deserves anything," Marcus said quietly. "We just choose what to do with what we have." He moved closer, hesitant, and hugged her. Sarah fell apart in his arms. Years of guilt and loneliness finally finding a safe place to land. "I love you," she whispered against his chest. "I never stopped. Not for a second. I love you too." And it was true. The anger was still there. The pain too. But the love had never left. In the months that followed, Marcus slowly became a father. It wasn't a single dramatic decision, but thousands of tiny choices. Waking up in the middle of the night when Hope cried. Learning how to make baby food. Singing off-key lullabies. There were bad days. Days when he looked at Hope and thought about what could have been. About the daughter he could have had with Sarah. who would be truly his. But then Hope called him Dada, her version of Daddy, and nothing else mattered. Sarah changed too. The guilt that had consumed her slowly gave way to something lighter. She started smiling again, laughing, being the woman Marcus had fallen in love with. They started couples therapy, hard conversations in quiet offices, digging up old wounds, learning how to forgive, not just each other, but themselves. Forgiving doesn't mean forgetting, the therapist said once. It means choosing to move forward even while remembering. Marcus thought a lot about that. One night, 6 months after his return, he was giving Hope a bath when she cupped his face with her 2 wet little hands. "Dada stay?" she asked, with the confused grammar of a 1.5-year-old. He felt his chest tighten. "Yes, Hope. Dada stays. Always." He kissed her forehead. "Always." Sarah appeared at the door, watching the scene. Her eyes were wet. "Always," she echoed softly. That night, after putting Hope to bed, Marcus knelt down in the living room. Sarah found him like that, holding a small velvet box. "Marcus, I bought this before I shipped out," he said, opening the box. Inside, a simple but beautiful ring. "I was going to propose to you the day I came back. I had everything planned. But life didn't follow the plan." He lifted his eyes to her. "And maybe that's for the best. Because now I'm not asking you to marry me because I idealized a perfect life. I'm asking because I choose you. I choose us. I choose hope. I choose this, with all the mess and imperfection." Sarah dropped to her knees in front of him, her hands trembling as they covered her mouth. "So Sarah Chen, will you marry me? Again, for the first time? The right way this time?" "Yes." The word came out between sobs. "Yes, yes, 1,000 times yes." He slipped the ring onto her finger, and they kissed as if it were the first time, as if it were the last, as if it were exactly the moment it was always meant to be. From the bedroom, they could hear Hope laughing in her sleep, dreaming of things only babies know. 2 years later, Marcus was in the kitchen making pancakes when Hope ran up to him holding a crumpled drawing. "Dada, Dada, look!" He crouched down to see it. It was a typical drawing by a 3-year-old, 3 stick figures, one tall, one medium, one tiny, all holding hands. "It's our family," Hope explained proudly. "It's beautiful, sweetheart. I'm gonna put it on the fridge." She ran off, leaving Marcus alone with the drawing. He looked at it for a long moment. 3 figures. A family. Our family. Sarah walked into the kitchen, now 5 months pregnant. They had tried for a year before it worked. The doctor said it was a girl. Hope was excited about having a baby sister. "What are you thinking about?" Sarah asked, hugging him from behind. "About how I almost lost all of this." She kissed his back. "But you didn't." "No, because I stayed?" Sarah turned, facing him. "You never regretted it?" It was a question she asked from time to time, as if she still couldn't fully believe he had chosen to stay. "Every day," he admitted. She started to pull away, but he held her. "Every day I regret not staying sooner, wasting those first weeks being angry when I could have been getting to know my daughter." "She's not." "She is," Marcus interrupted firmly. "Biologically, no. But in everything that matters, in every way that counts, she is my daughter, and I am her father. Period." Sarah smiled, that smile that still made him forget to breathe. "I love you. I love you too. More than I ever thought possible." Hope came running back in, interrupting the moment. "Dada, Mommy, come see. The TV is showing soldiers." They went to the living room. On the TV, a commercial showed military members returning home, being welcomed by tearful families. "Were you like that, Dada?" Hope asked. "I was." "And did Mommy welcome you like that?" Marcus and Sarah exchanged a look. So many layers behind that innocent question. "Sort of," Marcus said. "It was complicated at first." "Why?" "Because adults sometimes fight. Sometimes they make mistakes. But what matters is that we love each other, and we stay." Hope thought for a moment, then climbed into his lap. "I love you, Dada. I love you too, little one." "Forever?" "Forever." That night, after putting Hope to bed and reading 3 stories, she always asked for one more. Marcus sat beside the bed watching her sleep. Sarah appeared at the door. Thinking again? Always. She sat next to him, intertwining her fingers with his. What about this time? That first day, when I came back and saw the baby, I was so ready to run. Why didn't you? Honestly, I don't know. Maybe because deep down I knew some things are worth fighting for. Or maybe I was just too tired of running. And now? Marcus looked at Hope, then at Sarah, then touched her belly where their second daughter was growing. Now I know. He turned fully to her. We spend our whole lives thinking some battles are about winning, about being stronger, faster, tougher. But the battles that really matter, they're not about that. What are they about then? About staying. His voice was soft but steady. About showing up every day even when it's hard. About choosing to love even when it doesn't make sense. Some battles, Sarah, we don't win by fighting. We win by staying. Sarah began to cry, silent tears sliding down her face. I spent so long thinking I had ruined everything, that you'd hate me forever. I almost did. He wiped her tears with his thumb. But love was stronger. It always was. They kissed, slowly, while Hope mumbled something about unicorns in her sleep. 3 months later, in the hospital, Marcus held his second daughter in his arms, Grace. They had named her Grace. Hope was sitting in Sarah's lap, stretching her neck to see better. She's so tiny. Hope whispered, amazed. You were like that when you were born too, Sarah said. And did Dada hold me? Marcus and Sarah glanced at each other. Technically, no, but in every way that mattered. Yes, Marcus said. I held you from the very first moment I could. Hope smiled, satisfied. And now we have 2, she declared. A big family. The biggest in the world, Marcus agreed. That night, when everyone was asleep, Marcus stayed awake looking at his 2 girls. Hope on the pull-out bed they had set up in the room. Grace in the crib beside her. His daughters. Both. Equally. Completely. He thought about how strange life was, how the greatest gift sometimes came wrapped in pain, how the truest love often rose from the ashes of loss. 2 years ago, he had come back from war expecting to find one thing and had found something completely different. He could have run, should have maybe, by many people's standards, but he had stayed, and by staying, he had discovered something no battlefield had ever taught him, that courage is not never being afraid. It's being afraid and choosing to love anyway. That family is not about blood. It's about choice. That forgiving is not forgetting. It's remembering and deciding that love is bigger than pain. Marcus stood, kissed Grace's forehead, then Hope's, and finally lay down beside Sarah. She curled into him, still sleeping, and murmured, You came back. I came back, he whispered, and now I'm staying. Forever? Forever. And this time, he truly believed it, because he had learned that the best stories aren't about perfect endings. They're about imperfect new beginnings, about broken people choosing to fix themselves together, about love that survives the impossible. Some battles, Marcus finally understood, aren't won by fighting. Some are won by staying. And staying, he discovered, was the sweetest victory of all.